Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger, good enough to join us as he does here on Tuesday. Shady, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing awesome. Just before you came on, we were talking a little bit about that the whole right tackle situation with Weston Davis, and Shea, I look at it from a recruiting standpoint, and I can't help but think of someone like from Neville, the big 5-star who went up to Tennessee. I'm blanking on his name.
Will
right
Campbell.
No.
No, wait. Who are you talking about?
After Campbell.
Lance Hurd.
Hurd, thank you. I can't help but think about Lance Hurd. But, if he stays, then you've got a 5-star to 3, guy who's been here for 3 years and is plug-and-play ready-made at one of the tackle spots. But it's sort of like what you deal with right now. What's your thoughts on kind of how this whole thing has come together?
Yeah, I mean, I think that my reaction was one of the reactions you had, and I thought you had a good question adding the Thompson stuff in there with Brian Kelly yesterday, because then we got a sort of very specific answer to how they move forward here. But I don't know. I texted you that I have a reaction to this because maybe I just want to hear your reaction, and I know you have a big pulse on things. Are we even in the era of the portal? Yes. But everyone's playing this, well, this is the year card, right? We're all in. LSU's all in. And I get it, right? And you address the O-line. You've added 2 portal guys. They both start. And are we just under a presumption that a kid who everyone was so excited about, one of the top offensive tackles in America, who's a 5-star on Rivals, and at the time on 3, but he's a starter and above the rim basketball player on a Beaumont United top 25 national team. This is above Emory Jones, balling out at Catholic High type stuff. So much like a Trey'Dez Green, a guy like that isn't going to be good in his first 6 games, right, Matt? Am I underreacting to this?
No, I
when
think
do you get excitement for a 5-star prospect and not just kicking it down the road as a fan and saying, well, there's got to be a more immediate fix?
Well, I think a lot of that is expectation, Shea. Whenever you're talking about a team that fancies itself as a national title contender, you start to look at what are the things that could potentially prevent you from getting there. Well, we would all agree the weakest unit on this team right now is the offensive line. And the weakest part of your weakest unit right now is Weston Davis at right tackle. I think that's objectively true. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn or saying anything that's untrue. But two things can be true at the same time, right? We can acknowledge this is a guy with an extremely high ceiling that I think is going to be an outstanding football player, but right now he's a bit of a liability. And if you didn't have an option like Thompson, who's been a Power 4 starter at right tackle, then this is not a conversation. But I think it has to be a conversation because you do have a guy that's been a full season starter in the Power 4 at right tackle. That's just the way I look at it.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of crux of this whole thing is, like I said, I'm glad you got specific with Kelly, because if it weren't a discussion about Thompson, what discussion are we having? It would be like any other position, right? Where you just say the coaches see all of them in practice. I'm guessing there's not anyone better that they have to turn to. So I don't know. I just see everyone freaking out. I'm like, man, I can remember when this kid committed and how excited y'all were. Yeah. And now the fans are kind of not so bullish on the idea of him trying to, I guess, get through his first season as a starter while balancing the reality, yes, that you're 5-1 and fancy yourself as a playoff team.
That's the difference, right? If you're a team that is trying to get better and build for the future, that's a very different reality than the immediacy of what's happening with this LSU team, because we can all acknowledge, Shea, they've got to get better. Similarly, you have to acknowledge they're 5-1 and ranked 10th in the country. Every goal they have is right there to be achieved. So, how do you continue to improve? So, hopefully it continues to get better and better and better as the season goes along. And the thing I'll say, Shea, last point, if you have a thought on it, please weigh in. But it feels to me what I hope is similar to what happened a year ago with Paul Mabenga, where he was thrust in there in a really tough spot when Dellinger got hurt. I mean, on the road at A&M, and then has to start against Bama and Florida, and it was not good early. But if you go look at Mabenga, every game he started last year, every game, he PFF grades or whatever, he improved every single week. And then starting this season, he's been really good for you at left guard. Now, he didn't play last week, obviously, after he got hurt. But, yes, guys are allowed to improve, and that's really, I think, my hope here with Davis is the more reps he get, the more he improves.
Yeah, and I think, too, people – get, less mad when, it's the second guy up if a guy is struggling on the road or early. But I think it maybe does go back to the old point of debate maybe here. It's settled back to this reality that LSU is better. There were more expectations on this season than a year ago. So you weren't as upset if, a guy was taking his lumps on your line that you thought might be a full-time starter for you. And also, like you said, yeah, I think people are just browsing or kind of glossing over the, oh, well, it was a really tough matchup, with South Carolina and, he did his best. It's like, well, not everyone has a great D end. And then there's the best D end, that's Dylan Stewart. But every week you're getting that. So I guess playing right tackle, Matt.
Yeah.
That and left tackle. Everybody's watching you when you mess up more than any other position.
Shea, let's talk a little bit from the recruiting perspective. The game in Baton Rouge this past weekend with South Carolina coming in, how did it go for the recruits that showed up, and what ended up being the notable visitor list?
It went well. I mean, look, this is anytime you can get a win and be 5-1. I always say that recruits don't view things through the same lens as fans or even we do. Often I'll joke and I'm serious with it. And this might be the same for fans, but at the end of the season, they couldn't tell you what their record had been or how many losses they had or name every loss. Like it's one of those things where it's just, hey, look, how do I fit in and kind of take it from there. And boy, I think LSU still has the number 2 blue chip ratio right now, 16 commits. But we've talked about that a lot. Like we're not in the old days anymore of 25 to 30 high school signees. There's no cap that people worry about anymore with the portal and obviously retaining a roster. I think they're going to be around 20 every cycle. And the big goal, I think, was just getting these guys back to campus. So getting them back, I think every Louisiana commit was there and a handful of out-of-state commits were back, Matt. And from Lamar Brown over at U-High to out-of-state guys who have made kind of multiple visits, the feeling is always, hey, Tiger Stadium's impressed. Hey, playing offense or defense. Certainly, though, I think people are more kind of surprised with the offensive reaction of how often these are. Look, I can count out reading right now. Steve Wiltfong had just written a couple of articles on guys who were in national players for 2027 next year, where the whole storyline is I'm loving how the offense looks. They're clicking at the right time. So I guess as we talk about overreactions at the midway point of the season, don't overreact to them having 16 commits. That's sort of the new era of things. And 2, don't overreact too much on Saturdays because the future guys who are on this team out of high school don't weigh it as heavily as you do.
Shea, what can you tell us about Joshua Dobson, who had 5-star, the number 1 cornerback on visit this past weekend?
Yeah, kid who's coming out of Fort Mill over in South Carolina. So he's seeing his home state team take on LSU and got to see LSU win. And he talked about it being one of the notable visits he's had in his recruitment. He's only a junior, but when you're the number 1 corner and already a 5-star, you've made a number of visits. So that was one thing that sort of stood out. And then he's had a relationship with Corey Raymond for a while. And I talk about it often, that when you get to this point in a recruiting process, Matt, and you've only got a couple of months left till signing day or the majority of your class is built, that focus shifts to the next cycle. And look, they've got 1 commit, Peyton Houston, but they're going to start stacking them up. And I often say, look, you'll look back at weekends like this where you can look up now and DJ Pickett is your, cornerback and guy for the future. Well, these are those weekends where a guy like Joshua Dobson just kind of slips under the radar and people are like, don't realize, hey, this could be your 5-star future guy. And this was his first visit and was really a tone setter. So I think for him to be able to see LSU beat his home state team and obviously the defense look like they have all season was pretty big for him. So couple that with a relationship with Corey Raymond, he doesn't target many people per cycle, notably out of state. So Dobson will be a guy to keep an eye on, definitely.
Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger, good enough to hang out with us. Shea, we are going to get a commitment announcement coming up in a couple of days here on Thursday from an in-state prospect. What can you tell us about, is it Vital or Vital? How does he say it?
Boy, I was hoping you were going to go with an answer for me on both of them. Actually, is it Vital or Vital or Javen or Javon? I'm going to go Javen Vital. I'll think Vital. Maybe I'll go Vital.
Let's go Javen Vital. I'm with it.
I'm with it. He'll announce this week. They've already offered. These kids are juniors in high school. LSU's already offered 10 plus kids out of Louisiana next year, and I think it's the same number that we have in the On 300 or the Rivals 300 right now. But he's one of the top 10 players in the state. coming out of Hamilton Christian Academy over in Lake Charles. And I'm not too familiar with how long they've been open, but if he were to pick LSU, and I've got my pick in on him to pick LSU, but Southern Cal, UCLA, there's other teams in the mix here. If he does pick LSU, Matt, he would become the first player to ever go from Hamilton Christian to signing or committing to LSU football. So I don't care if they open this year, which they didn't. I know he played there last year, but that's a pretty cool thing to take with you if you wind up playing for the home state team.
He's a wide receiver.
Yeah, well, right now, I mean, he's playing 1A ball over at Hamilton Christian, and he's everything that they have. I think quarterback-wise, return specialist, DB, he's kind of that guy for him. But yes, viewed as a kind of a smaller slot wide receiver at the next level.
He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon, on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Tigers hit the road this week, Shea, for game against Vanderbilt. What do we look for here in the immediate short term with Vanderbilt, and then obviously A&M coming in a week from Saturday?
Yeah, I think that the goal this weekend on the recruit front is get out of there, right, with a win. You don't want to be coming back here and having to kind of not only have all the pressure on you, but go up there and lose to Vandy. So I kind of think everything is sort of geared up. Gosh, Florida and South Carolina have obviously been their biggest home games. Those were big recruiting weekends, and there's not many left. And certainly this A&M win stands out. So I'm going to guess the next 2 weeks, which both have, are coming before a bye or anything like that. So they're not going to be on the road recruiting, that they're geared up on loading up that visitor list for A&M, because that'll be that big weekend you have before that final month of the season. And then the early signing period gets here in a hurry, obviously. So they'll try to get all your commits back, see if they don't get a few more kind of out-of-state or targets, I should say, flip targets even, who are seniors, because I don't think they can end at 16 commits. I think it'll get closer to 20. So we'll keep an eye on it. Hey, maybe Catholic High's Blaine Bradford will be there. In fact, I would almost guarantee he's there, unless he's headed up to Ohio State where he's committed, Matt.
Yeah, I think we might see Blaine Bradford. I don't know if he'll wear purple and gold, but I think we'll probably see him at that LSU A&M game. Be fun. He's Shea Dixon, on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Of course, rivals now as well on the recruiting side. Check him out at Shea Dixon. Thanks, Shea. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it, Matt.
All right, bud. Be well. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.